You ever see those creators who are just dominating their space? I mean, they're posting constantly, they're everywhere, and it all looks so easy. So let's get into it. Because what if I told you that behind the biggest channels, it's not just luck or creative genius. It's a powerful, repeatable system.
And that's the real question, isn't it? Is it just a lucky break, some flash of inspiration, or is there actually a methodical process hiding in plain sight that we can decode? It's so easy to just chalk it up to raw talent. But when you look at the sheer scale these creators operate at, you start to realize there has to be something more systematic going on.
Okay, so take a guy like Julian Goldie, who's an absolute titan in the SEO world. We're talking about an output of over 4,700 videos. Think about that for a second. That's not just consistency, that's an industrial-level production line. You don't get to that number by just waking up and waiting for inspiration to strike.
Or how about Dan Martell with, over 2.5 million subscribers? You just don't accidentally fall into that kind of market dominance. That's the result of a meticulously designed content machine. Numbers this big don't happen by chance, you know. They are engineered.
So, this all leads to a really fundamental mind shift. We tend to think of creators as artists, right? Spontaneous, creative, personality-driven. But the truth is, the most successful ones, they operate a lot more like engineers. They're systematic, they're data-driven, and they treat content not as some mysterious art form, but as a problem that can be solved.
All right, so what is the system? What's the machine? Well, let's call it the Algorithmic Content Engine. This is the framework, the blueprint, that turns a creator's entire history of work into a strategy for future success.
So what does that actually mean, an algorithmic content engine? Look, this is not about guesswork. It's a process. You take a creator's entire library of videos, all those transcripts, and you treat it like a massive database. You scrape it, you analyze it for patterns, and then you rebuild it into your own repeatable strategy.
In this process, it breaks down into a really clear 6-stage pipeline. You start with DNA extraction. That's finding the creator's core beliefs. Then you've got hook swiping, where you analyze how they grab attention. From there, you do pillar mapping to find their main content themes and language mining to understand how their audience talks. Then you use pattern recognition to map out their viral hits. And finally, calendar generation, where you build a data-driven content plan based on all that research.
Okay, theory is great and all, but let's see how this works in the real world. We're going to use this exact framework to decode Julian Goldie's SEO empire, and specifically how he leverages ChatGPT to get a ton of free traffic.
So let's start with one of his big video titles, The Shocking Truth About ChatGPT and Your SEO Strategy. Now, that title wasn't just pulled out of a hat. No way. It is constructed with a very specific psychological formula that is designed to make you click.
And this is the secret sauce right here. If you strip away the specifics, ChatGPT and SEO, what are you left with? You're left with the skeleton of the hook, a contrarian claim, plus an emerging technology, plus the impact on an industry. That is a reusable template you can apply to pretty much any topic you can think of.
And that same kind of logic applies to his entire channel. It's all built on a few core pillars. ChatGPT SEO Mastery taps into that anxiety we all have about being left behind by AI. Effective link building, well, that serves the deep need for authority and ranking. And his SEO success case studies deliver the tangible proof that everybody is hungry for. You see how it works? Each pillar is a direct solution to a specific pain point. So now that we see the framework, let's talk about the output. Because this whole engineered system, it's not just theory. It actually generates a library of incredibly valuable, actionable tactics. So let's look at the specific ChatGPT SEO strategies that come directly out of Julian Goldie's system.
These are the actual promises from his videos, and they hint at what's inside. So when he talks about automating your strategy, he's literally talking about using specific ChatGPT prompts to generate entire keyword clusters and content plans in just minutes. And when he promises free backlinks, he's showing you how to use AI to find places your brand is mentioned and then draft personalized outreach emails automatically. These aren't just vague ideas, they're actual workflows you can use right away.
And at the end of the day, it all comes down to a clear, tangible result. A video titled How I Increased SEO Traffic by 50% with ChatGPT isn't just some claim, it's a promise. And a visual like this just makes that promise concrete. It shows you the exact before and after you could get.
So, we've decoded the system. Now how can you actually apply this? Let's zoom back out for a second and boil this whole process down into a simple, repeatable blueprint that you can use to start engineering your own content.
Honestly, it comes down to 3 actionable steps. First, DNA extraction. You find a leader in your niche and you analyze them. What are their core beliefs? What phrases do they repeat over and over? Second, pattern recognition. Deconstruct their best content. What are their hook formulas, their content pillars, their video structures? And finally, systematic application. You take all those patterns you found and you build your own content calendar. Simple as that.
So, this brings us to the final and maybe most important takeaway. Stop thinking like an artist waiting for a muse. Start thinking like an engineer. Because great content, the kind that really scales, isn't just about expressing yourself. It's about solving a problem for a specific audience. So the real question is, what problem will you engineer a solution for?